All right, welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show, and my guy Anthony Schlegel sitting right here with me. We've got ourselves a nice, robust show. As Tuesdays always, we're welcomed in by our guy Bill Bender, so that's going to be exciting to welcome him in. Talk a little bit about Ohio State coaching search, what's going on there. Ryan Day on the Tonight Show as well with Jimmy Fallon last night. Schlegs looking good, having some success. I'm sure the chat will be lively when it comes to that. A lot of things going on, very robust, if you will. How's this Tuesday going for you, sir? It is now officially a week out after the national championship game. The celebration of everything. How are we feeling about all that?
I feel great. Great to be a Buckeye. A lot of stuff. Things happen after you win a natty. People leave. People move on. People stay. Maybe you wanted them to leave, but they didn't. They're there.
You're telling me there's people there that they wanted to leave that are still staying.
No. I'm just saying that. Like that's the reality of all situations, right? And
that you want people to leave that don't.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not saying that's going on, but like in all these things, every year in and year out, there's all those mixed emotions, right? So I would say this: I always look at who are the ones that are staying. Let's get that going. Let's be excited to have them. There's some great comments, I think Jermaine and Caleb, people asked them about it. Like, hey, man, we wish him nothing but the best. Like, he was great for us with our time as a Buckeye, and good for him. Time to move on. Like, guys are there to play the game, and this is a business. You see it in coaching all the time, and why certain teams do what they do. Look at Dallas, for instance. I think that Jerry thought they had a lot of continuity on the staff. They didn't want to make a lot of changes. You know Shoddy as I know Shoddy because I coached with Shoddy, and I played for him when he was on the staff with the Jets. Really good coach, lots of experience. Dad was a phenomenal coach, and he talked about being prepared for this moment. And you're going to have some guys that come in potentially to be the defensive coordinator or whoever our other assistants that they bring in, because as you and I were discussing the other day, Bob, you can have as many swinging doomajigs out there coaching people, right? Yeah. So it's back in the day, it used to be, remember, you could only have like the 9 guys plus the head coach that coach.
It was only 8 plus a head coach.
Yes, right.
Yeah, it expanded to 9 about 7, 8 years ago.
And then you had 2 GAs and 2 quality control guys.
Yep.
Like that was it. Like those are the only people that could coach. Now it's just like, bring them all in. Like everybody's coaching everybody. And what does that look like? So, I'm excited for these guys. It's a Tuesday. And they're already in the midst of preparing for spring football. As like difficult as that is to wrap our heads around, that's what it is. Just like in regular business, right? You guys have a great year in your business. Guess what? Time to reset and have another great year. Like that's just how it works in sports. It's why there's so many good correlations between the two. And I'm excited for those guys that are here and what they are going to be able to do for the Buckeyes in 2025, Bob.
Oh, it should be great. The one thing that is an issue is, some people at the Woody, it's an issue kind of everywhere. It's flu season, man. I got 3 kids, 3 of the boys sick at the house. I was over there at the Woody. It's like, hey, we're such and such. We're such and such. Oh, they're out sick right now. And so that kind of stinks. And it's that time. I get it. So guys, go out there, make sure we're washing our hands. Like, don't be a dirty hole.
Yeah, don't be a dirty hole guy. Remember this one guy? There's one guy, guys. I want to first off, back to your other comment. Always remember this. If you are replaceable, you're not promotable. Just throwing a little nugget out there. That's corporate America, but that's also coaching.
The indispensable man, Schlegs, just fill a bucket with water and put your hand in, pull it out, yep. See the changes that have happened.
Be that guy. That's how I always look at this thing. Be that guy. Like you want that, be that guy. Be that guy that we can't live without on the staff, right? That's also in business. I want to throw that nugget out there. But you're talking about cold and flu season. I remember this one time, we're getting ready for winter training. And I'm in there and I'm dropping a deuce. And you're over there and you're just taking a look at, you glance over and you see this monster shoe. And you're in there doing your business, and then you see said shoes leave and you hear no water run and just
it's terrible.
It's terrible, right? So it's one thing for pissing, it's another thing for shitting. And anyways, you go out there and I literally went down again. This is diseases season, right? Like wash your damn hands, okay? And I found them, and I called them shit hands for probably another year.
Of course,
after that
that's
because I
dirty
found him.
hole, dude.
I found him. That's a dirty hole guy. Don't be the dirty hole guy.
Yeah.
All right. Don't be shit hands out there. Just food for thought, everybody.
All right, Slice. Here's a little. I can't believe you've never heard of the indispensable man. I feel like this may have been in the winner's manual, maybe didn't, wasn't in there.
That's just something that resonated with me of how I like the indispensable man. I can't remember the connotation. I want you to give it to me, but like the replaceable aspect and the promotion aspect, because everybody comes to you. It's like, hey, I'm ready for that promotion, or hey, can I make a few more dollars an hour? Well, if you're replaceable, you are not that type of person for us.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors that go into it, but like, what is that? That's the same thing. I'm gonna give you that. That's the same thing. When you look at the totality of like guys getting special teams reps, that gummit, his name just okay. There was a guy that got a scholarship this last year, David Adolph. Adolph grinded his face off, man. I saw how he practiced. He a little pushback sometimes in the weight room, but he always did great in there. And then he just started to buy in. And there was another one, Icky. Icky was that type of guy. And you look at a Rudd, like a Rosinski. And granted, his dad's a little older than us, and we know Jerry very, very well. But Rudd's just a guy that is like, he's not replaceable at Ohio State. Like his give a shit factor. Pat Gerd, his dad played at Ohio State, was a walk-on. He's now going to Cincinnati. Good for him. But that guy spilt it every single. He was not replaceable on the team or in his unit. You know what I mean? That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get X amount of reps. But like, we need you, Pat. Like everybody has a role to play, and we all got to play our role. And just be that person that is not replaceable. Because when it comes time for you to go into the game, right? That's a promotion in my mind. If you're replaceable, if you're replaceable, you're not promotable. You can't go in there.
Well, here you go, Schleiss. Here's how you're going to figure it out. This is the test. And I don't know if it was in the winner's manual when we were in there. My brother said, I don't know if it was Brian Kelly or someone, or maybe he had it on when he was coaching at Northern Colorado. For those who don't know, my brother, he actually coached at Notre Dame, played at Cincinnati, GA'd for Brian Kelly down there, was with him at Notre Dame, went to Northern Colorado, came here, was at Ohio State in 14. Oh, and they won it. I don't think it was Urban that had this, Schleiss, but it was the indispensable man. I think Brian Kelly read this in the meeting, and he goes, "Do you fit these qualifications?" And it's a poem by Saxton White Kessinger. Sometimes when you're feeling important, sometime when your ego's in bloom, sometime when you take for granted you're the best qualified in the room, sometime when you feel you're going would leave an unfillable hole, just follow these simple instructions and see how they humble your soul. Take a bucket of water, or take a bucket and fill it with water, put your hand in it up to your wrist, pull it out, and the hole that's remaining is the measure of how you'll be missed. You can splash all you wish as you enter. You may stir up the water galore, but stop, and you'll find in no time it looks quite the same as before. The moral of this quaint example is to do the very best you can. Be proud of yourself, but remember, there is no indispensable man.
Beautiful.
Buckeye.
Beautiful. Buckeyes.
Man. And that's so when they talk about like guys irreplaceable, I mean, we joke about this and they say it in the NFL all the time. This is a time when there's a lot of turnover, players leaving, new players coming in. And people ask all the time, Schleigs, about like your number. You see a guy having it, is that good? Luke Montgomery's 51 right now, isn't he?
Yeah, 51, baby.
Yeah, there you go. And like people have asked, who has 42, and AJ, they retired 47 for AJ Hawk, but really for Chick Harley. But we'll say AJ Hawk. So no one's wearing that. People always ask your number, and this and that. I go, you only rent your number. I go, while you're here, it's yours. When you're gone, it's somebody else's. That locker, it's only rented. It's not yours. You don't own it. And there'll be someone else that'll park their rear end in there. They'll sit there, Schlegs, with their sweaty legs and sweaty crack, and sit on that leather seat, and hopefully someone's wiping it and cleaning that thing out every now and again. But you'll change, you put your stuff on. You'll do that for 3, 4, 5 years, maybe a year. I don't know. And then when you leave, it goes on to someone else. And one of the great things that Tress did is he put all of the all Big Ten players that wore the number that you had before you in that locker. And so you look at it every day as you're getting dressed and thinking, is this something that I want to be? Is this something that I aspire to? Like, am I trying to get here am I trying to get to here? How do I get to be one of these greats? So hopefully, while I'm never going to be truly indispensable, there will be some memory of me in this jersey and in this uniform as I leave. And I always thought that was a very impactful way to go about it, a way to teach the history of it. And so that you knew, especially at a place like Ohio State, big state where you have a lot of teams that are a lot of great teams, a lot of All-Americans, all conference, all everything. That there were players before you, there'll be players after you, and hopefully Schleg's that little dash while you have it in between yours. You get to you do something really special with it the best that you can. So the indispensable man, because when you're gone, it won't be yours anymore. All right. We got Bill Bender coming up. That's the soapbox that we'll get off of. Nice little fast start to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, leave your comments and questions. We love getting to those in our tailgate talk towards the end. We got Bill Bender coming up, but first, I want to let you know about our friends over at Export. Attention, parents, athletes, protect what matters most with Export mouthguards, trusted by professional athletes and designed by NHL team dentists. Export mouthguards are scientifically tested to absorb those high-impact hits, protecting both your teeth and your brain. Export mouthguards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including a patented use of carbon fiber, custom fit to your own unique 3D printed smile right there. It's going to suck right into your grill legs. That means more protection, better performance, max comfort, clear communication so you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com and save 15% today on your order. Export. Protect what matters most. Bill Bender, the Sporting News, coming up next. All right, welcome back into the program, and now welcome by our guy, the Sporting News. You can find him on X at Bill Bender 92. Bill, how are we doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Bill, we're a week now officially out of the college football playoff. I mean, it was a Herculean lift. There's a date that was released. I don't know if it's for next year's playoff or maybe two years. I think, I guess it would be the 2026. It's like January 27th. I want to say that I saw was floating around out there. I mean,
we're January 27th.
We're moving in the wrong direction. I'm trying to get it closer back to New Year's. But I feel like we've got to get something done with this. And hopefully, Bill, as we kind of debrief and kind of do the post-mortem on the playoff, that we can kind of figure this out and figure out a good solution to a great tournament that I think needs some tweaks and some refinements.
Yeah, and we talked about the playoff seeding and fixing that and maybe some of the delays. But I'm going to tell you, Bobby, I think the coaches don't mind the 10 days between games because it allows players to get healthy. One of the things Ryan Day said in the lead up to the championship game is you forget that, oh, yeah, these guys are on winter break. So you get to spend more time just on football and less distractions and those kind of things. So while I think the calendar does need compressed a little bit, that is a 7-week calendar and more of a marketing TV ad revenue type deal because, yeah, the ratings for that game, Notre Dame, Ohio State, 2 unbelievable brands, were certainly lower than expected.
Yeah, what do you think went into – because Bob and I said, what did you say, Bob? 26 million, I thought, because of what we got versus
it averaged 22, and the reality is, like, I know there's cord cutting and everything. Like a third of the houses have ESPN as they did before, but that Ohio State Bama game I always put as kind of the high water that first year, and it had like 33, 34 million. So they're about 12 million off of that. And some of that's probably due to the cord cutting though as well.
Well, cord cutting and the amount of games that you get to watch, right? There's more anticipation for a semifinal than a quarter or the first round, right, Bill?
Yeah, and I thought the first round was a hit. You know, it definitely the on-campus feel. I was on a Knoxville radio station yesterday talking about the Tennessee-Ohio State game and that environment and how cool it was. At the same time, I think, again, with the seeding, if you match the 12 teams in the rankings to the actual seeding, you would have got Indiana, Boise State in the first round. Ohio State probably would have played Arizona State, and Arizona State would have had to come play in that cold. And what a matchup that would have been. And then you get into maybe rewarding second-round teams with home games as well. One thing I pointed out, Dan Lanning in Oregon, one home game lost in the last 3 years. Georgia's won 31 in a row. Would that have changed the results in those games? I don't know. But I think you should have a reward. Imagine if Ohio State burns through the Big Ten next year, goes 13-0, and they don't get a home game. I think that's a disservice to the fans that showed out for that first-round game.
Bill, let me ask you this real fast. Because to Bobby's point about condensing this, because you put it January 27th of next year, you're literally right after the conference championship games in the NFL, because their schedule ain't changing. Like they're like clockwork. Because you got your 2 weeks after that one. How do you bump it up? Like do you eliminate the conference championship games to go right into the playoffs and let those be what they can be?
So I've seen proposals on this, Schlegs, and I will start with this. I think if we can get the Southern schools to agree with it, you push the regular season up a week. I get their concerns about how hot it gets down there. I've lived down there, and I know you have, where you know how hot it is in August.
It's hot, bro.
You step outside and it's hot. So that's one. I think you could push the conference championship games up to that Thanksgiving weekend, which might be tough because of the holiday, or you just get rid of them and then you do rivalry week then you start the playoff right away. Let's knock the first 2 rounds out right away and keep them on campus, okay? Then you can take a bye week, do the semifinals, take a bye week, do the championship game. That way we're closer to like January 9th, 10th, which is where I think you should play it, because part of the interest, I use this example from being down in Atlanta. I got up, had breakfast Monday morning, had ESPN on, and what were they talking about? Buffalo, Baltimore, AFC, NFC championship games, NFL. And then, oh, by the way, Ohio State's playing Notre Dame tonight. So that would push it up a few pages on the, networks for sure.
Yeah, I think that's something they're trying to do. And I misspoke. It's not the 2025. It'll be the 2026 season, 27. It's the one in Vegas, which, I mean, Bill, that's a win for everybody that we're getting a national championship in Vegas. But it is January 25th. It's a Monday coming off of, I think, the conference championship round. So not only were they coming off the divisional round, now we're coming off the conference championship round, I believe, with how the calendar strikes right there. On to some of like the coaching moves and everything that's been going on. We've seen a lot of movement. Al Golden leaving Notre Dame, Jim Knowles leaving Ohio State. Tom Allen had left Penn State, which was the destination for Jim Knowles. It seems like there's a lot more coordinator to coordinator movement now than really I can remember in recent memory. It's one thing guys leaving to take head jobs, and NFL is a little bit different, but guys making these lateral-ish jumps is kind of surprising.
Yeah, I mean, defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator at a high-level Big Ten or SEC place is very lucrative, so some of it might be about the money. Obviously, we know Tom Allen went down to Clemson from Penn State, which led to Jim Knowles going to Penn State from Ohio State, and Ohio State's going to fill what is a very coveted position. If you're the offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator at Ohio State, it's a lot like being that for Alabama, Penn State, Notre Dame, Michigan. There's a short list where it's not insane to me how much they're paying these guys, because you saw this season how important it is to have a Chip Kelly, to have a Jim Knowles, to have those guys on your staff and help you win a national championship. So very interested to see where Ohio State will go with this. And some of it, you could say it's petty that Penn State announced it while Ohio State was celebrating their championship, and it was, but that's another part of college football.
Yeah, it's great. Has Chris Ash been named as the Notre Dame DC yet? That's what I think. I think Chris would be amazing. I coach with Chris. Bobby knows Chris. I think he'd do a great job. Have they done that yet?
They have not, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I mean, he would be a good fit there with what they do defensively. I thought Al Golden had that Notre Dame unit playing very connected on all 3 levels all season. You could see in the Ohio State game that maybe they didn't have enough to stop Ohio State when they were full go and clicking the way that they did. But that doesn't detract from what Notre Dame did this season. And I think Chris Ash, as you guys know, you have experience with him. He would do very well and fit in that position that keeps Notre Dame going the way that they're going.
What is there a limit, Bill, to what we'll see some of these coordinators getting paid? I mean, the compensation packages are looking like the NFL or even possibly more robust at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that's all the salary stuff is going to probably come to a head at some point. You know, when you're talking about how much we're giving in NIL and how much we're paying coaches and head coaches getting $10 million. And, you know, I've heard both sides of this argument. I've heard this is absurd. How much, you know, can we actually pay these guys versus, well, it might be absurd, but think about what Ohio State's football team did for the economy of the state this year, you know, with all the jersey sales and the memorabilia that will come from winning that national title. They make a lot of money for the university. They make a lot of money for Central Ohio. So I guess I see both sides of it. But at a certain point, you know, how much can you pay a defensive coordinator? How much can you afford to pay and have that be sustainable?
Well, I mean, especially now that you're dealing with guys that potentially make more than their position coach. Like, I mean, it is very NFL-esque in some of the regards of the NIL guys making, you know, 7 figures, and here's my position coach making 6. You know, it's the reality of the situation. Bill, I think that would be a very interesting story that I would love for you to dig in the weeds of, because I can't do it. But I would, one, it did come out that Ohio State is in a deficit in the athletic department to unforeseen circumstances, aka charging it to winning. But how much did that actually bring into the economy? I would love to see how that is, because, you know, everything in Central Ohio does revolve around the Buckeyes and just what it did for the state, not only for the university.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I used to make the argument with Alabama. You know, Nick Saban was the most important employee in the state. You would say it somewhat tongue in cheek, but then you're serious, right? Yeah. And I think, you know, the same thing goes with the Ohio State football machine. It's not just seen on Saturday. It's you see it in every store. You see the windfall that will come from that. And it'll obviously benefit the football program and the university, but I think it does benefit the state. And when you have, you know, not to get into politics, when you have the vice president of the United States, J.D. Vance, talking about Ohio State football and what it means to him, that's a big thing. So, yeah, it spread all across the country. I did not catch Fallon last night. I've seen a couple clips of Ryan Day, and he did very well in that setting. So, there's long story short, I've actually been on the Tonight Show once, but that's one I don't know we got time to get into.
Oh, man, Bill.
That sounds tremendous. You know what, Bill, why not? Listen, why not? I mean, how did we get there? How did that transpire?
Well, all right. Well, I know I can't say the word on here, but my wife has an interesting last name. You can, our name combination, if you Google it, it ended up on, the wedding announcements. So we ended up on the Jay Leno show many years ago. So I'll send you guys the link to the article. If you Google it, you go like Bender Leno Tonight Show, you can get there. But
I'm doing it.
Yeah, you get into some trouble if you do it.
It's okay. Amazing. I'm doing it.
That's that. But with that, Bill, I mean, with him being on there and, you know, just seeing him, like, he seems more relaxed. I know that the Michigan thing still kind of hangs out there, and it will for a lot of people. Do you think that we'll see a different version of Ryan Day? Maybe one of the guy you saw more in the playoffs, more fiery, but then more relaxed, and doesn't seem to be kind of holding on as tight.
Yeah, he was very good in that environment, by the way. Very loose on the Fallon show.
Kimberly. I'm sorry. Kimberly. I love it. Hey, Bender like Bender. You know, I always knew you were a great fluffer there, Bill.
Yeah, so I'll let Schlegg say the word if he wants to. So
yeah, man, no, it's amazing. No, it's amazing. It's kind of like everybody's heard about, like, your kids watch The Airbender. I've seen that show like way back in the day, and this one is just Dick Bender. Yeah. I love it, man. I mean,
I can't believe I've never told Bobby this story.
That is amazing.
How I didn't when you say that now, Bill, I remember this happening. Yeah. I didn't really know you as well then, so that's why I didn't really stick.
So, like, long story short, they had used that name combination on the wedding announcements multiple times, and then on Leno's last week, they flew me and Kimberly out to Los Angeles. We did that, and we can get into that after the break if you want to hear the rest of it. But it was a very fun experience for both of us. We got to fly to Los Angeles, be on Fallon was on the show. So we had Leno, Fallon, Betty White was in the house that night. It was
that's
great
amazing.
Experience. Yeah.
So, all right.
Gosh, she got those really
take a quick
moist
break.
muffins.
Hold on. We're going to take a quick break real quick because I want to hear that story from Bill, because the only other guy I know that's been on the Tonight Show outside of Ryan now is Ryan Miller, and he had a great one from it too. So more with Bill Bender coming up next.
The Big Play Sports Network. Download the free app today to watch all of your favorite hosts on demand.
I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like... I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer. All right, welcome back in the program. We're reliving Bill's experience going out to the Tonight Show prior to his pending nuptials. Not only it's the Tonight Show, it's the last week of Leno. You're on there, and his farewell tour. Jimmy Fallon is there too. You're getting ready to make that transition. So give us a little bit more of the insight, Bill, into what that trip was like.
Well, the story I always tell is this. So we're out there, and there were other couples out there with funny name combinations as well. And, we had our kids with us. We were the only couple that brought our kids. We were young, we were traveling. And so while we're backstage, we have our two kids. The on-site babysitter says, "Hey, I'll take your kids over to Betty White. She loves kids." Unbelievable. And, so Betty White hung out with our kids for a while we did what we had to do. And then, there was a tweet out a couple years ago where they said, say something that sounds totally ridiculous, but is absolutely true. And I tweeted out, while I was on the Tonight Show, Betty White babysat my kids. And it absolutely happened. It was a fun experience. Kimberly and I have heard all the jokes over the years, but it was a good experience just the same. And for all those jokes, a nice reward for us having fun, that we did have fun out there.
Gosh, that's amazing, Bill. Fantastic story. I don't know how I remember seeing all that. I don't remember how I never pieced that together. Yeah. And with you bringing that up, Ryan Miller's story, he was out there for the Rose Bowl in '96, and he was supposed to golf the next day with a bunch of guys. And you're old enough, Bill, that you would remember a time before cell phones. And they're like, "Hey, you guys just won the Rose Bowl." And he was supposed to go golfing. He missed getting up and going with like Braves and Hoy and these guys. He goes, so they had I was like the B squad. So Steve Snap, the old SID, he's like calling people's rooms in the hotel, like, "Hey, they want you to come on the Tonight Show." And Ryan's like, "Hey, the most important ability, availability."
Yes.
And so it was like him, two other of his teammates, and they go in the back, and Paula Abdul is there. And this is like 1996, height of her powers. And they come back, and the producer goes, "It'd be amazing if you bring her out like on your shoulders." And Ryan's like, "I'm like a 22-year-old guy. He's like, we can pick her up. I mean, she weighs about $110. He's like, "But I'm like trying to figure out, like, she's got like a dress on, like a skirt deal." And he's like, "I'm trying to figure out like where to get her on my shoulders and to give her proper support while also not like accosting her." And he goes he's like, "I've got my hand like right on her, like one of her cheeks." And he like kind of is like hesitant. She's like, "Go ahead, honey. It ain't the first time." And like leaned on it. Like she like leaned back into, "Oh, it's great." And Ryan goes, "It's the greatest deal ever." I'm like, "That is amazing, man.
Yep.
Absolutely tremendous." So a lot of fantastic things happening on the Tonight Show. Bill, before we get you out of here, as we look at kind of the college football landscape, we have these coordinators moving all around. player transition. I mean, what is next? I mean, spring ball is like on the horizon here.
It's crazy.
Where are you kind of focusing? I know you cover college basketball in the NFL, but as far as just the college football world, is there anything else that you're kind of looking at here as we move into this like transitional off-season time?
Well, you tie up the bow on the rosters and the coaching moves. That'll happen. I know there'll be a lot of excitement around Arch Manning in Texas. And so for Ohio State, there's really no break because that's the first matchup of the year. It's going to create a ton of excitement having Texas come to Columbus for that matchup with possibly Julian Sayin playing quarterback for Ohio State, where there'll be a high curiosity factor with him. So it's about roster retention. List season will be here before you know it. As you know, I'll duck in and help with some of the Super Bowl coverage here over the next 2 weeks, which that will be an exciting matchup. I'm wondering if the Chiefs will ever lose. But before you know it, spring ball will be here, which is crazy. And another part of this calendar where I do think the kids, the players, they do need a little bit of a break, from this 12-month cycle and this very, very long season, which Ryan Day talked about on the Tonight Show and had them prepared for. How do you do it again? I guess that's the challenge now.
Yeah, Bill, I mean, what are you trying to say, that 4th of July weekend isn't enough break for 12 months? Like, what the Sam Dick are we talking about? Hey, what do you think this whole portal thing is going to get fixed? Because, again, there's so many issues. I've been thinking a lot about how special this was. It's always difficult to be the first one. We did it in 2014. You did it in 2024. While you're going on a run, other schools are making contact through an agent, family member about your guys on your team. That happens. Guess what? Nobody can regulate it. Nobody's in charge. It's just a 100% wild west of whatever it is you want to do. Go do it. So now not only you have to keep your guys focused on accomplishing the mission every single week, making sure they're healthy, making sure they understand the game plan, going out there and executing the right way, but then also trying to recruit the portal for your needs next year. And then also these guys who then do want to stay to be able to hop in that very brief time when all the other schools have had all this other time against all the other guys that are out there to go get certain players. Really difficult. When is this shit changing?
Yeah, I hope they tighten it up. I don't know how you police the tampering factor in 2024 with cell phones and all the ways that you can contact a potential player. But as we move this closer to an NFL model, I think, once you have a player, you have a player. If you want to I don't like the idea of college football becoming a free agency every year, even though in some ways it is. And, the things that were written about Jeremiah Smith, for example, where, you go to one school and then, well, if I was this school, I would offer him 10 million or 5 million or whatever that number is. I think it speaks to the development of Ohio State, especially in that receiver room, that Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith would stay. And, I just don't like the idea of being tampered with when you're not under contract. But I think we're going to get to a point where we need to maybe sign contracts, if that makes sense. And I hate to do that to 18 to 22-year-olds, but you are at an age where this is more like the pro model anyway. So why not sign something that you have to stay there for 1 or 2 years? I would make it a 2-year thing and give you one free transfer.
I think, isn't that what the Wisconsin and Miami situation is going on now, where, they had a contract, whatever was signed. He just left after the portal window and transferred to Miami. It's like, well, who's going to stop him from playing? And how is that ultimately going to work? Like, I'm very curious, Bill, to see the legal ramifications of that, because if that falls down, then that means like it's just transfer all the time and go ahead and play.
Right. And that can't happen. And you're putting pressure on, the college athletes. You guys didn't have them. You had your parents and you had your coaches, but you didn't have a handler, right? There was and I think the idea that a college football player having a handler is absurd, but it is part of the reality now. And they can give players good ideas. They can give them bad ideas. And I think this Wisconsin-Miami case, I hope there are ramifications from it if it proves to be true, because you can't mess with kids when they're on the roster and you want them to be there. But I think a 2-year deal, like I said, my solution, 2-year contract to start your career. You get one free transfer. If you do that second transfer, you've got to sit a year. And I think that would help kids make more educated decisions about where they want to play football.
I completely agree with you. And I would say this too, Bill. What I've been saying about guys that go, let's say somebody does offer a Bobby Carpenter $1 million to go play linebacker for them that season. There's no guarantee that they got to pay you $1 million the next season. There's no reason they got to pay you shit, right? And then now you got to go to another school. So now you've just been at 3 schools because you're trying to get your value, and somebody's like, "Oh, I'll give you $750." Remember, you're only as valuable as your second best option.
Right.
That's the reality of it, right? So whenever you get into this portal mix, that's why they got to figure out what is the rule on it, which I do like yours. Hey, it's a 2-year contract, and then after that, it can be 1 year's while you're on the roster, because we also are cutting down to 105. We haven't even discussed what that looks like. That's another conversation for another day, because I would like your take on that too, Bill.
Well, maybe we can do it next week. And, sorry to turn this conversation into my 10 minutes of fame back in Los Angeles. But
that's what the people want. That's what I want, Bill.
No,
I like Dick Bender. Let's go.
We can keep that going into the off season, no question, because I enjoy talking to you guys. But maybe we can do that next week.
All right. We appreciate it, Bill. Get out of here. We took up too much of your time. The great Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Thank you so much. Go check out his stuff there. Give him a follow on X at Bill Bender 92. Phenomenal things there. We got some headlines coming up, Schlegs, and there's a lot of great stuff that we've got to get to. And you keep just bloviating over there and delaying it. But headlines coming up next.
Welcome to Big Play, the fastest growing sports media company in America.
I'm gonna keep it straight with you. The reason you should watch our show is because I look good, baby.
Come get some!
Join our millions of fans for live sports talk shows hosted by the top former athletes and sports personalities in the industry.
Ohio, it's my home state.
Obviously, I'm a diehard Cleveland sports fan.
Watch what you want, where you want, when you want. Welcome to Big Play.
Make sure you. All right, Schlegs. We got a lot of stuff to get to here, and we got our tailgate talk by Real Truck coming up next. We'll start diving into some of the comments from the last couple of shows, which are always going to be great. I wanted to get to this, the pregame speech, before the game. Schlegs got a chance to peek at that, and now that the game is won, you get a chance to kind of see and look at what everything's happening, and it is unbelievable by Ryan. You see the passion, you see the intensity. We can throw that up there and just take a look at that and get some sound going to hear what this is. Little scene behind the curtain, if you will, Schlegs. If we get some sound, you can turn that up if that'd be great.
Your plan B, Ohio State Buckeyes. 60 minutes, bro. It's 60 minutes, bro. It's our brotherhood, but stay brotherhood. It's our culture, but stay culture. They talk about they want the Buckeyes in the championship. They want us. Well, them gates closed, bro. Them gates closed, bro. You're different.
It's amazing. And
those gates are effing closed, bruh.
Yeah.
Love that.
You want him? I love it, dude. Lathan, who comes on here and does a great job with us. It's tremendous. And you hear it like, dude, you wanted them, you got them. Like, they're playing the Ohio State Buckeyes, and you got to feel different. You got to be a little bit different. And one of the other guys, Schlegs, that has been different for 4 years, Emeka Egbuka. And, if you can throw this little speech up there, I mean, he's the all-time career receptions leader at Ohio State, never the number one receiver. And just his time talking about, what Ohio State, I guess this is actually him. This will be him, Schlegs, when they were talking with Jeremiah Smith. The play they had, the 56-yarder, he's getting guarded by number 29. He starts talking about their leverage. And this is the type of insight he has into the coverage and into everything that's going on.
Look, go back. Look at the inside leverage he has and sees he's attacking them.
Middle, and that is a completion.
Yeah, but
I got this. It's a chance for what? Excellent. So you got to win your one-on-one.
3rd and 11. Still no touches for Jeremiah Smith here in the second half.
Here they come.
Heavy pressure. Howard delivers downfield. And Smith, he's got it. Jeremiah Smith hadn't had a touch in the second half.
Come on, man.
Yeah. You see, if they've gone back and they've rolled through it, and you see his inside leverage legs. Like he was so tight, and Jeremiah is so fast. He skinnied him up, got back outside. And like that's what we call being a student of the game. Guys that played a lot of football, like how smart they are and how locked in Jeremiah was. It wasn't even a play that was going to be for him. He's like, we got to run up a go ball on this guy. And you saw it happen, you saw the success, and ultimately finished the game off.
Yeah, I mean, in the weight room, we call it physical literacy. On the field, we call it football acumen. At least that's what I call it. And a 4-year guy gets that. Now, guess what, though? He's passed that down. I guarantee you Jeremiah Smith's football acumen from the time he came in to the time he is now is leaps and bounds of where most 18, 19-year-olds are. But why does that start? It starts that way from the leadership of the room and Brian Hartline and all the guys that were in zone 6 prior to him. Like, that's what they do, because you know what the weaknesses of the defenses are, and he's looking at splits like there is no way. And I've seen dudes straight up 1v1 and Jeremiah Smith running by him. You want to be that far inside because you're going to – because remember, on that play, they had 3 guys over the top, and then one guy fell down. The other guy came on a Mecca, leaving that guy one-on-one with Jeremiah. Poof, David Copperfield. You want to go to the next one where he sets the wide receiver program record?
Yeah, let's get that in this little conversation there at the podium in the celebration.
You guys are what truly made these 4 years so enjoyable and so memorable. And there's nothing I can say that really embodies how I feel about you guys. I don't look at you any different than just extensions of my family. These 4 years have been amazing, and I'm going to truly miss it. But I'm glad that we were able to go out the right way. With that being said, I'll always be a Buckeye. Thank you, guys. God loves you. Go Bucks.
Love it, man. And all-time leading receiver. Never once the number 1 receiver as well on the team, Schleigs. It's a testament to his selflessness and his just ability to grind away for the squad. All right, coming up next, we got our Tailgate Talk brought to you by Real Truck. Dive into some of the comments. There's some good ones from our show yesterday, Schleigs. I think you're going to be excited to check it out. Here on the bottom.
Building a home for the people who are worth it. Stepping out, throwing in a line, and dropping the tailgate for a picnic. And finding far-off campsites with the people you're closest to. Upgrade your truck, Jeep, or Bronco with over 1 million parts and accessories. And bring your truck to life. Real Truck.
All right, here into our Tailgate Talk brought to you by our friends over at Real Truck. Go ahead to realtruck.com. Make sure you outfit your truck, Jeep, Bronco, whatever it is. They've got stuff for the interior, the exterior, truck bed, covers. They've got Jeep tops. They've got bumpers. They've got winches. They've got seat covers. They've got coolers. They've got everything you need to bring your vehicle to life. So go check them out at realtruck.com. And here's the best part. You spend $100, you get free shipping on your order. They'll send it right to your house. You just slap it on there and you'll be good to go. So please go check it out and get your stuff ready this winter. So when spring comes, you'll be looking sweet. All right, Schleigs.
I'm just laughing about Dick Bender, man.
Oh, that's a win for everybody. It's a win for society. This one's coming yesterday in the comments, Schleigs. A little love to you. This is Kent A. I don't even know. There's so many letters there to be able to read. Anyway, from Kent 3011. So a huge reason the team came up with the right attitude this season. A big thanks to the Schlegel Valley.
Yeah.
That's to you.
What do you want me to comment on that? I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much.
Tell them just how great. Tell us how great you are.
Yeah, not going to do that. When called upon, you got to respond and serve. And I tell you what, there's a lot of things that kind of fill our buckets. I think all of us need to know what those are, whether that's spending time with your family and pouring into your kids. And one of the things that fills my buckets, I got to do it today at the Armory when I got to train the Columbus Fury, those women, alpha females, and I melt their face off with the same juice and intensity that I would at Ohio State. Like, that fills my bucket. But these guys, watching them from January all the way into spring, all the way through the summer, and then I was gone, and then just watching them in camp, watching them through the season, to see that growth. And the cool thing for these seniors, it's a 5-year growth. Bob, you probably have got a better glimpse into how they've changed as a man than anybody outside of the people that are in the staff because you're there on a daily basis. But that's what I get the most excited is when I get to see that development. And when you get to listen to G and he open it up with prayer and the Amekas and the Treys. And on that last play, we talked about on this show, that last play doesn't happen if Trey doesn't do what Trey does and step up and fill the free hitter. Stones him so that Will can step up in the pocket. Like, it doesn't happen on 3rd and 11 if Trey doesn't do that. And the selflessness that this team has and how Jack and JTT and all these guys and the two TNT in the middle, et cetera, Jordan Hancock and what he did, that's what you love, man. That's what fills the bucket.
Here we go. We've got another one, Schlegs, talking about you with sheets. It says, imagine Schlegs having to eat sheets for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And there's a lot of crying, laughing emoji, Schlegs.
Yeah.
Laughing so hard.
Sheets.
Listen, Schlegs, I know you could hammer down some sheets, but these are two more that are coming from Phil Jackson, or coming about Jim Knowles. And this one comes from Nathan Payne, 5838. Or 5338. Knowles reminds me of Phil Jackson. And then another one by Mr. Bulldog, 1965. Jim Knowles is a turncoat. Do not go to a rival school. Thanks for leaving, Jim. Go Buckeyes.
Yeah. And you know what? That's good to feel that way. It's okay. And that goes back to what Caleb and them said. Hey, man, we appreciate Cole Knowles and all that he did. We won a championship. Good luck. See you next year. Great. That's how it is, right? It's a business, and you move on and you move forward. And I do think that they're going to stay. In my opinion, I think they would stay in-house because of the continuity. And these guys have been in it. Like, they play really fast in the system. Will there be some tweaks? Yes. But the best recruiters on the staff did not leave. And again, remember this. You don't win games without your alphas. Just letting you know that. So,
absolutely. You need dudes out there. This one's a little more measured, Schlegs, coming from Shoe R4664. People leave for various reasons and such in life. Wishing Knowles the very best. It's probably an outlying thought. Time to move on. Remember when Kyle left, Will Howard came in. Someone else will come and excel. What is done is done. This program is blessed with talent. Remember, Alfred left, Lachlan came in, Urban left, Ryan came in, Bill O'Brien left, and Chip Kelly came in. It all shall be well. It all shall be well. Go Bucks.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just looking at the comments from today's show, and I got Emily saying that's what she said. So, Emily, to you, I appreciate you when you said that. There you go.
All right. That's a little bow on Real or Tailgate Talk, brought to you by our friends at Real Truck Today. Coming up next, our guy Anthony Schlegel is going to wrap up the show with his parting thoughts.
Building a home for the people who are worth it. Stepping out, throwing in a line, and dropping the tailgate for a picnic. And finding far-off campsites with the people you're closest to. Upgrade your truck, Jeep, or Bronco with over 1 million parts and accessories. And bring your truck to life. Real Truck.
All right, Schlegs, your parting thoughts.
Yeah, go ahead, throw it up there, Ryan. Hey, Pat's out. I don't know what Pat's doing, Project Pat, but Ryan's in there. Ryan, I just highlighted on there, says JT Bear to the Dump Bears. Dump Bears. Yeah, good for him, man. Like, I actually got to sit in front of his family at the Cotton Bowl. I was like, Mr. Bear, like, what's up, dude? Like, what's crapping? His brothers were there. His mom was there. But it's just great to see a guy who was in Detroit, goes to now Chicago, as, one from like an assistant quarterback coach to now being the quarterback's coach. Good for him. There's a lot of guys that I coached, Bob knows, that are out there coaching in this profession. It's really good to see them be able to have success and move forward. JT has always been a great leader and obviously a great student, and being able to go up there and watch golf and like what he's been able to do to be able to carry that forward has a task a little bit at hand. If there's anybody I think can help get it done, it would be JT. So I'm excited for his future and what he's doing.
Absolutely. Well, That is all the time we have for today's show. Thank you for tuning in. We will be live tomorrow with our guy, Mr. Aaron James Hawk, better known as AJ, at 12:30. We break down. We'll get into a lot more of this coaching search as well. Not a ton of news today. Looking like Chris Ash might take that Notre Dame job. But outside of that, let's see what we can find out and conjure up, Schlegs, some new details of where this could be going and who Ryan might be looking to hire. All that'll be at 12:30 tomorrow on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
Welcome to Big Play, the fastest growing sports media company in America.
I'm gonna keep it straight with you. The reason you should watch our show is because I look good, baby.
Come get some!
Join our millions of fans for live sports talk shows hosted by the top former athletes and sports personalities in the industry.
Ohio, it's my home state.
Obviously, I'm a diehard Cleveland sports fan.
Watch what you want, where you want, when you want. Welcome to Big Play.